I'm done with you now that the house is finished. I want you to divorce my son. I'm going to move in with Mom, so you can get out of here. The moment they finished the new house, they treated me like this. I knew they were trying to take advantage of me. With a big smile on my face, I said to them, "With pleasure." A few days later, my mother-in-law and my husband came to my office, pale-faced. "What in the world is going on?" My name is Lucy. I'm a 34-year-old office worker. I currently live at home with my mother. My father died of illness a few years ago. Since then, I have been taking care of my mother. My mother has always been frail, and she has been living under the care of a caregiver since her back and legs deteriorated about 7 years ago. I have to work during the daytime on weekdays, so I have a caregiver helping her during those times. I take care of my mother during the rest of the time. It is not easy for me to balance work and caring for my mother, but it is not hard when I think about my mother's sake. I have received a lot of love from my parents. I'm grateful that they sent me to college, and I have many memories with my family since they took me to many places when I was a child. I wanted to repay my parents for their kindness. That's why after my mother's back and legs got worse, I returned to my hometown to live with them. Lucy, thank you for everything, and I'm sorry for all the restrictions I put on you. What are you talking about? There are no restrictions. But you have been taking care of me for a while now, and it's not easy to meet anybody good under those conditions, isn't it? You don't have to worry about that. I'm not in a hurry. I was fooling myself by saying that. When I lived like this, I certainly didn't have nearly as many opportunities to meet people. People at work are either married or nearly 10 years older than me. None of them were available for a romantic relationship, so I wasn't blessed with any good encounters. In the midst of all this, a friend of mine took the liberty of setting up a group blind date. I thought I would not find a partner, even if I attended, but since my friend had organized it, I thought it would be rude not to go. So I decided to go to the party. And so, in the end, there were 3 men and 3 women, including myself, who attended the date. At first, everyone was talking friendly as a group. Then, as time went by, we changed seats and began to talk to those next to each other. At that time, James came up next to me and talked to me. James and I were the same age, so we had a lot in common, and I remember I had fun talking to him. I would love to fall in love with him if I could. I wish I could go on a date with him. I thought things like that while talking. However, I accidentally told him about myself. I told him that I was taking care of my mother at home. Most men would probably not be interested, or would hesitate to go out with me at that point. Moreover, I think most men would feel that marriage would be too difficult. In fact, even when my father was still alive, I had experienced rejection when they found out that my mother was under care. So I was sure that he would naturally move away from me as soon as he heard the truth. But his response was different.
I see. I know it's a lot of work. I think it's great that you are taking care of your mother.
What?
You are taking care of her all by yourself, aren't you? That's a lot of work, and I respect it.
Well, I guess. I had never been praised like that before, so I was both happy and a little embarrassed. However, he was serious in complimenting me. There was no lie in his eyes.
You know, I come from a single-parent home, so I know how hard it is to be without a father.
I see. So James, has your father already passed?
Yeah, well, in my case, my dad had an affair, and that's why my parents divorced.
Oh, I see.
Haha, You must be surprised.
Oh no.
It's okay, I don't mind. I was happy living with my mother, so it's no problem.
I see. We talked about deep things that brought us closer together. We exchanged numbers and started going on dates since then. Then, he confessed to me, and we officially became boyfriend and girlfriend. I told him, if you're considering marriage, I have my mother's care to do, so please keep that in mind before dating me. To that, he said,
Of course, I've thought about it. I've decided after thinking about all that.
I thought he was very trustworthy, and we started dating. As we continued our relationship, he was concerned about my mother, and sometimes even offered to have dinner with me at my parents' house. He was very considerate of my situation and my mother's needs, even though we were not yet married. I became more and more attracted to him. My mother also liked him, saying he was a kind and good person. James, I just wanted to say thank you for keeping Lucy company. This girl was so busy taking care of me that she didn't have time to fall in love.
No, I'm the one who is grateful for Lucy dating me.
I was happy to see him and my mother smiling and talking happily with each other. And so, we continued dating, and after a year, we decided to get married. I never thought I could get married, but with him accepting my mother, I thought we would definitely have a happy marriage. My mother was so happy when we had our wedding. My co-workers and my friends also congratulated me on my marriage. I thought I was going to live with him, but to my surprise, he offered to live with my mother. Are you sure about this?
Of course I am. I've been thinking about it ever since we decided to get married.
Thank you, James. I was genuinely happy. I had originally hoped that when I got married, I would be able to live near my parents' house to take care of my mother. I thought I would have to move back and forth between our place and my mother's place. But then, my husband suddenly suggested this. When I told my mother about this, she burst into tears of joy. I'm so glad you met someone truly wonderful. This is how our life together began. I was content to enjoy the feeling of being a newlywed with my husband, while also taking care of my mother. My husband actively helped out with things like the heavy lifting and wheelchair pushing when I needed a man's help. We were living a peaceful life together as a family. But about 2 years later, my mother's health suddenly got worse. She had been able to live with us at home as long as I took care of her, but now she needed to be hospitalized. However, since my mother was already close to 70 years old, I was a little prepared for this. I went to visit her every day. My husband also came to visit her when he finished work early. Lucy, thank you for everything you have done for me. James, please take care of Lucy. Mom, don't say things like that. Don't talk to me like it's your last words.
Yes, we need you to live longer.
Thank you. You are so kind. I had a bad feeling about this. The way my mother talked to me sounded like she was prepared too. I then explained the situation to the company. I told them that if something should happen to her, I would like to take a paid leave. I didn't want that to happen at all if possible. But my bad premonition came true. A week later, my mother's condition worsened and passed away. I was very depressed by my mother's death. My husband comforted me and calmly made arrangements and preparations for the funeral. Thanks to him, I was able to send my mother off safely. After the funeral, I was still very sad, and I felt like I had a gaping hole in my heart.
Lucy, let's live happily for your mother. Take your time and get your strength back.
Thank you. My husband was so kind and cuddled me. I healed my emotion wounds little by little over time and regained my strength. I truly believe that I had met a kind man, but that was my big mistake. I began to feel uncomfortable with my husband. It was about 3 months after my mother passed away. When I started to regain some of my energy, my husband began to invite my mother-in-law to our house often.
Lucy, I hope you are feeling better. I know it must be hard for you, but you have to look to the future.
Thank you for your words. My mother-in-law used to say kind words to me, but I was a little troubled by her frequent visit.
Mom, you should eat dinner with us again tonight.
Sounds like a good idea. I will do that then.
My mother-in-law, as a matter of course, would have dinner with us. She often stayed over too. It was fine if it was only once in a while, but she would come 2 or 3 times a week. It was almost as if we lived together. Moreover, my mother-in-law did not pay for any of the food and other expenses incurred during these visits. My husband may have told her she didn't have to pay for it, but then I had to pay for it from our family budget. It basically meant that I was the one who was paying for it. And in the midst of all this, my husband started saying something like this.
Why don't we invite my mother to come and live with us?
What? With your mother?
Yeah, because it's a little big for just the 2 of us. You're the one who inherited it, so we can't give this place away either. I was born when my mother was young, so she's only 65. But still, anything can happen at any time. I'm just worried about her, you know. Mom said she would take care of the housework. I think if we work, and she does the housework, we can all live a happy and comfortable life.
At that time, I was convinced by my husband's words, and so I agreed to live with my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law did not bully me or anything like that. She did the housework well and was very helpful. It was nice to come home from work and find the food ready to eat. My mother-in-law was kind to me while I lived with her, and I enjoyed talking as the 3 of us over dinner. I had come to trust my mother-in-law completely. In the midst of all this, my mother-in-law and my husband suggested something surprising.
This house is getting old, so why don't we build a new house?
What?
We will live in this house for a long time, right? We may even have children. Then I think it would be better to live in a new and clean house.
I think that's a good idea. I think it is your parents' wish that you are happy and comfortable.
When my mother-in-law and husband said that to me, I felt the same way. My mother and father always wished me to be happy. As my husband and mother-in-law said, rebuilding the house and living in a new one might lead to my happiness, so I took them up on their offer. Then, my husband and I searched for a real estate agent, and we discussed the layout of the room and the other details. My mother-in-law also joined us and offered her opinion. And then we actually started construction. Until the house was completed, the 3 of us lived in a rented apartment as a temporary residence. The days passed by so quickly. We were excitedly waiting for the day the house was to be completed in about a month. But then, I overheard an unexpected conversation between my mother-in-law and my husband. It all started when I was frequently working overtime. When I went home one day after working overtime, I heard something that I couldn't believe.
Well, it looks like the plan is going to work out sooner than I thought.
Yeah, I wonder what she's going to look like when we get rid of that stupid wife. I can't wait to get your lovely girlfriend over here and have the 3 of us living together.
I really couldn't believe my ears. My husband and mother-in-law were talking as if they were having a relationship with a woman other than me.
I opened and closed the front door one more time, so that they would not know that I had heard their conversation. Then, they finally noticed that I had returned. The atmosphere of the conversation they had just had between them was gone. They were back to their usual friendly manner with me. I was growing distrustful of them. But still, the rebuilding of the house had already begun, and I could not stop it. And after a while, the house was completed. We quickly moved from our temporary place to our new house. The new house was very clean and beautiful from the outside. We also saw the interior of the house. It was a beautiful, new, and very nice house. My husband and mother-in-law were very impressed and excited. Then, they turned to me and suddenly started to grin and laugh.
I'm done with you now that the house is finished. I want you to divorce my son.
What? That's what my mother-in-law said to me out of the blue. And my husband agreed with her.
I'm going to move in with Mom, so you can get out of here.
He said this as he pulled out the already filled out divorce papers. The moment they finished the new house, they treated me like this. I knew they were trying to take advantage of me. With a big smile on my face, I said to them, "With pleasure." I immediately took the divorce papers. My mother-in-law and husband were surprised that I had backed down so quietly. They seemed to think that I had given up.
I'm glad you were fooled so easily. I've been waiting for this moment since the first time I talked to you at the blind group date. You were already living alone with your mother, who already needed care at the time. I had a flash of inspiration that it would be perfect if Mom and I moved into the house you inherit and rebuild it. I'm a genius, right?
I was utterly dumbfounded. They had been planning this for years. I was stunned to the point of amazement. My mother-in-law praised her son.
He really is the best son anyone could have. Now I can live comfortably in my old age.
They grinned at each other. But my husband and mother-in-law don't know yet. I had already made the first move. I took my luggage and left the place as it was. Then, I went to a place. It is a room in an apartment. I had already rented a room in an apartment for myself, so I was going to move there from the beginning. I was sure my husband and mother-in-law will be surprised at what is going to happen to them. I thought about them and couldn't help but laugh a little. A few days later, my mother-in-law and my husband came to my office, pale-faced. I thought they might call me or something, but no. They stormed into my office out of the blue. I was surprised as this was unexpected.
What on earth is going on?
Why do we have to be evicted from that house?
My husband and mother-in-law shouted at me like that. But I calmly replied, "The house and the land belong to me, so it's up to me to sell them, isn't it?" When I said that, the two of them were immensely upset.
No, that's not possible.
Didn't we buy that house under your joint ownership?
You didn't listen to anything I said. We decided to buy it in my name because you earn too little. That's why the house and the land are mine.
Oh no!
Finally, they seemed to understand the situation.
Lucy, we are so sorry. It's our fault. So please, we can live together again, right?
Yeah. We are a married couple, and you don't have any relatives anymore. Let's live happily again as a family, with my mother and me.
What are you talking about? Don't you remember when you confronted me with the divorce papers? I've already filed them. We are strangers now. And I have proof that you're having an affair too.
What?
I will be filing a claim for alimony through my lawyer.
Oh no! Wait, please!
I'm not waiting. This is my office. I want you to out of here. I called the security guard and asked him to send them away. Soon, my ex-husband and ex-mother-in-law were taken outside by the security guard. I then filed a claim for alimony against my ex-husband and the affair partner through my lawyer. My ex-husband's salary is not much, but it seems like he's having a hard time because his debts are increasing. In addition, he could not get the house, so the affair partner told him that that's not what he told her, and he was dumped. My ex-husband and ex-mother-in-law are living together in a shabby apartment after that. I heard a rumor that they were kicked out of the house because they were bothering the neighbors with their daily fights. I don't know where they are now, and I'm not interested in them. I, on the other hand, live in a small rented apartment for singles, peacefully and comfortably. The house I rebuilt sold for quite a high price, and I was able to make a positive profit. I'm planning to keep the money and use it after my retirement. I'm going to put my love life on hold for a while, and going to devote myself to my work as much as I can. It's just fraudulent to think that they were planning to take over the house from the beginning. I think this ex-husband and ex-mother-in-law deserve harsher sanctions. But from Lucy's point of view, maybe it would be better to cut them off as soon as possible. At any rate, I'm glad she was able to make a profit when she sold the house. I hope a nice man will appear in front of Lucy in the future. Thank you for watching.